The island republic of Porto Santo is often called the Pearl of the Caribbean Sea. Of course, we often forget that a pearl is the disease of the oyster. The island republic had its own disease, General Gomez. He ruled Porto Santo with an iron fist. The many forts and high sentry towers reminded me that this island paradise was nothing else but a miniature police state. I believe in minding my own business. I came here to dive, not to get involved in politics. At least this was my intention. Driving through peaceful lagoons made me forget the high tension around me. There was to be a general election in 3 days, and I didn't even know that Professor Mikado was the leader of the opposition. Nor did I know that one day soon, I'd have the dubious pleasure of meeting him 15 feet underwater. The scenery underwater was just as picturesque as it was above. I was testing an improved scooter. There were other skin divers there too, watching. A pretty girl and her underwater playmate. I wasn't aware then that they had a special plan for me and my equipment. One that I would long remember. The next day, I was spending my time 60 feet below, looking for certain rare shells from marine land of the Pacific. I filled my sack with a few collector's items and began to surface. My timing was all wrong. I was held at bay, at gunpoint, and witnessed a very bloody battle between some revolutionary students and some policemen of General Gomez. I headed for my boat as soon as I was allowed to. But even here, I found 2 unwelcome visitors, the skin divers that I had met underwater, followers of the missing Professor Mikado. They invited me on a little sightseeing tour. They had information that the missing Professor Mikado was murdered by the dictator's henchmen. They wanted me to find his body. The proof of his murder would swing public opinion. They had hoped that they could persuade me to come up with the evidence. The last thing in the world that I wanted was to get mixed up in a local squabble. But if these 2 students were telling the truth, human rights were being violated in a way that no one could ignore. But were they telling the truth? Just to get a look at the proof they offered was dangerous enough, because it meant scouting around the well-guarded summer palace of El Presidente. But to get the evidence they wanted would be to risk death.
You want proof, senor? These will give it to you. The summer palace of El Presidente.
Oh?
Look at the pier below the palace. The iron chains.
Yeah, I see it.
Before they put the body in the water, the guards said they weighted it down with such a chain.
So?
Look at the pier on the right side.
Uh-huh.
The chain between the posts there is missing. No?
It's missing. What's that prove?
What if you should find the chain in the lagoon, tied to his ankles?
Will I?
On my word of honor, senor. So, will you help us?
I don't know yet.
There is so little time, senor. If there's anything more we could tell you.
Well, you've told me enough.
Then what?
But is it the truth?
Why would we lie to you?
Gomez would love to be able to nail a United States citizen for plotting against him. You could be setting me up for that kind of a deal.
You think we might be agents for Gomez?
It's possible. I intend to find out.
If we are not agents, you will help us?
I'll get in touch with you tomorrow at this same time. Where?
There's a bridge over the canal that leads to the sea. You know it?
Yeah.
I'll be there, under the bridge at 4 o'clock.
All right, 4 o'clock. Let's get back to the boat, huh? My friend Jerry Rockmill was the able representative in Puerto Santo of a news service from the States. It was a fortunate coincidence for me because I had a lot of questions to ask. And she had the answers.
This man Gomez is bad news, Mike. The worst for us since Perón.
For us?
From any point inside this country, you could hit almost any point inside ours with an intermediate range missile. And Gomez is talking a deal with people who'd like to try.
Well, it sounds like a good man to beat in the election.
Sure. Only you can't beat something with nothing, Mike.
What about Mercado? What happened to him?
Now remember, you didn't hear this from me, but Mercado is dead, murdered.
Any idea who might have been responsible for it?
Gomez. But if I ever said so out loud, I'd be on my way out so fast my head would spin, if I had a head left.
What if you could prove that Gomez was in some way responsible for Mercado's death?
Public opinion would turn against him. Gomez would be on his way out.
You know of a young fellow by the name of Jose Garcia?
Yeah. He's the leader of the Mercado group in the university. Why?
He claims that he knows where Mercado's body is. Wants me to recover it.
You did tell him you would.
No, not yet. Shall we go? Thanks for the fill-in. I'll let you know what happens, huh?
You are going through with it, aren't you?
Well, I'm going to try.
Then I'll get my head kicked in, too.
What do you mean?
Too good a story to miss. There's nothing like on-the-spot coverage.
Hooray. I was right in the middle of something. Something that I should have kept out of.
You sure he meant this place?
Yeah, this is the place, all right.
Garcia?
Yeah. They certainly made sure that he was dead. If I'd have done what he told me to do last night, this wouldn't have happened.
Well, you had to be sure first. You couldn't stick your neck out.
Yeah, well, I'm going to now. And this is my party. You're not invited.
Hey, look, I'm a gate crasher from way back, but we better get out of here, and now.
Yeah. Gomez would love to put this on us. Jerry and I looked like a couple of fishermen, but we were on a mission which could easily cost us our lives. Its strange objective was to find a body and a chain on the bottom of a lagoon. I hadn't wanted to get involved in it at all, but now I was up to my neck in it.
Isn't that an awful lot to carry, 2 tanks of air?
That's about 60 minutes worth. And I'll use up about 2/3 of it to get there and back. That means I only have about 20 minutes of air to look for that body.
Wouldn't it be safer to move in closer first?
Well, I might be wrong about those patrol boats. You take care now, huh?
Don't worry about me.
The lagoon was pretty far away, but because I had the scooter, unless I ran into trouble, I could count on hitting the entrance in about 15 minutes. The scooter and its light functioned perfectly. There were strong currents, but I went deeper and avoided them. "14 minutes after I'd set out, I entered the lagoon, and I began to search for the pier. As I moved in toward the shore, I was tempted to surface to get my bearings, but I knew better than to risk it.
You have seen something, Ramon?
Yes, Lieutenant. A boat. It has been out there for some time now.
For how long?
20 minutes. It is probably nothing.
Where the safety of our president is concerned, nothing may be overlooked.
Yes, Lieutenant.
She is alone. On a good-sized fishing boat. Does that not seem strange to you, Ramon?
Yes, Lieutenant.
What do you think we should do about it, Ramon?
Go out and investigate?
Yes, Ramon.
I heard a powerboat above me, so I turned off my scooter and its light and waited. It passed without stopping, and I continued. Soon my light picked up the pilings of the palace pier. Now my real work started. I began to spiral in on a wide search area. I was concerned about running out of air.
Good evening, Senorita. Permit me to present myself. I am Lieutenant Perez of the Palace Guard of His Excellency El Presidente.
Good evening.
And whom do I have the pleasure to be addressing?
Geraldine Rackwell. I'm a United States citizen.
Ah, but of course, Senorita. Who but a North American woman would be fishing at this hour alone?
Well, I guess you're right, Lieutenant. I am alone.
But just to make certain, a formality only, I assure you. You will permit my man to search your boat.
You won't find anything.
I do not expect to. Ramon, investigate. And what luck have you had, senorita, with your fishing?
Well, not so good. I just lost a marlin.
You did? It's amazing.
Yes?
There are no marlin in these waters.
I'd used up more than half of my air supply without sighting a trace of what I was after. Yet I didn't want to quit. Then I saw it, the evidence that I was looking for. A length of heavy iron chain. I could see immediately that it matched the fence chain around the summer palace, and I had no doubts as to whose body it was tied to. I'd need proof to show that it was Dr. Mercado's body, so I took from it what I needed. A medallion, and an identification bracelet. I noted the spot well so I could find it again, and headed back.
I found this in the cabin. This boat is registered to a Mike Nelson.
Excellent.
Mr. Nelson, loan me the boat.
He is perhaps a skin diver?
Oh, no, that's my equipment.
Yes. What are these cylinders filled with?
The tanks? Oxygen.
Then I beg of you, do not use them. Underwater, one uses compressed air.
Thanks for the warning.
Punada, senorita. Punada.
I got out of the lagoon and into the open sea without any trouble. Suddenly, a powerful riptide picked me up and spun me around. Unless I got clear of it, I'd use up what little air I had left and would have to surface. Then if one of Gomez's patrol boats came along, that'd be the end of my evidence. And perhaps me. I fought against it with all my strength. In less than 10 feet from the surface, I managed to get clear. I continued toward our boat and hoped my air supply would still get me there, underwater. I knew I must be very close to the boat.
much longer are we going to play games?
Until you tell me why you are anchored out here in sight of the palace.
All right, I'll tell you. About 2 weeks ago, a man I know, Dr. Mikado, came out to the palace. I haven't seen him since, and I thought he just might come swimming by.
You do not amuse me, senorita.
I didn't intend to.
Dr. Mikado came to the palace because he wished to withdraw from the elections. He knew his cause was hopeless. El Presidente gave him the opportunity to leave the country. Mikado took it.
I think you really believe that.
El Presidente told me himself. Why should I not believe it? Why?
Because it isn't true.
You dare to say El Presidente lied?
No, not without proof, and I don't have that yet.
Then you never will have.
I'm starting to think you're right.
Of course. Even to think. What is that? Those bubbles. What are they?
Could be Dr. Mikado.
Or Mike Nelson. Ramon. Get her out of sight. Conceal yourself also.
For the first time since I'd left the cruiser, I figured I could relax. I'd get back on board, turn the evidence over to Jerry along with an eyewitness report, and let her take it from there. Jerry, I'm back.
Senor Nelson, you are under arrest. Where were you and what were you doing?
I don't have to answer your question.
You will, senor. Ramon.
You all right?
This is Lieutenant Perez from the Palace Guard.
Now you will answer my questions, so that the senorita will remain all right. Where were you?
In the lagoon, below the palace.
Why?
I wanted to find out if your president was really a murderer. I found out. He is.
You found Dr. Mikado's body?
Say yes and you will die with a lie on your lips.
Well, there was a body, and there were 3 bullet holes in the back. I'd say it was about 2 weeks ago. Wasn't that about when Mikado disappeared?
Lies. Lies.
This chain came from the palace pier.
What about it?
It was wrapped around the body to weigh it down.
Dr. Mikado is not dead. He is out of the country. You will pay for your lies, senor.
You think these are lies? That's his medallion, his wristwatch, identification bracelet.
Then it is true. All they have said about him is true. All true. If you don't want to run into the night patrol boat, take a northwesterly course.
Thanks, Lieutenant. Lieutenant Perez was a patriot after all. His love for his country and its laws was stronger than his personal loyalty to its president. The evidence that we had found was given to the opposition party. Public opinion soon defeated Gomez. And my improved scooter checked out as the best friend that Mike Nelson ever had. I'll be back next week at the same time with another sea hunt story. Plan to be with us again, huh?